Everyone, welcome to my class today. Today we'll see the topic called preoperative care, which is a continuation of perioperative nursing. So if you are the first time watching my video, please like, share, subscribe and stay tuned. So coming to preoperative phase, so from the time when the decision is made till the patient is shifted to the operating room for the surgery, that period is called as the preoperative phase, and it can last for minutes to months. Okay, if the surgery is in a emergency period, so if immediately surgery has to be taken for in any life threatening conditions, then the preoperative phase may remain only for minutes, whereas when it is a planned procedure, when the person can wait for the surgery, then the preoperative phase will be for months. Coming to the definition of surgery, so it is an art and science. Art means we do some procedure on the person, and science is with the help of scientific principles and giving rationally for all the procedure. We do the procedure, so it is called as art and science. So this is done for any pathological condition. So whenever there is any disease, injury, or to improve body function or to repair any body parts, surgery is performed. And it is a team approach, so where surgeons, anesthetists and operating room nurse and technicians all join together, and they will decide and perform the surgery. Next, the purpose of surgery. So it can be a diagnostic purpose where we identify any pathology, or a curative purpose where to treat the disease. And in case of palliation, this is not curable but to alleviate symptoms, like in case of pain control, we do rhizotomy or a colostomy for eliminating the stools in bowel obstruction. And it can be a preventive, so whenever the person is high risk of developing some disease, and the risk factor will be removed, like for example in case of cancer, if you know some mole or a polyps will cause cancer, then we will remove that. That is preventive. And explorative is we explore the body parts and identify if there is any pathology. So like in laparotomy, we open the abdomen and fully check for any pathology and then remove the pathology. And for a cosmetic purpose, so like plastic surgery where the person want to change the appearance, like treating a burn scar, or a lipolysis for reducing weight or changing the shape of the breast. Coming to types of surgery, it can be an elective or planned surgery, so where the surgery is already planned in advance and the person can wait, and it is not a life threatening condition. And urgent or emergency surgery is patient is not able to wait. Here patient is in a life threatening condition and he needs immediate surgery in order to prevent the complication of disease, that is called urgent or emergency surgery. And next is ambulatory or outpatient surgery. So here it is like a daycare where the patient will be scheduled for some minor surgical procedures in a day. So patient will be coming in the morning, and then the surgery will be performed and the person will be discharged on the same day, like a biopsy or a cataract surgery. And next, coming to preoperative assessment. So in preoperative assessment, we have to collect the history or patient interview, so where we ask so many questions and history about the patient, and we document it. Next is physical assessment, which is an objective data which we assess on the patient, and any abnormal findings we have to communicate before the surgery. And psychosocial assessment, so surgery is itself will cause fear and anxiety of the person, so patient will be very frightened. So in order to relieve the fear, we have to do a psychosocial assessment. And finally we do laboratory and diagnostic findings, so based on the person, type of surgery, and based on the area where the surgery is going to be done, so the pathological conditions we have to identify, so we do a laboratory or a diagnostic finding. Okay, let's see each one by one in detail. So coming to patient history, so you will collect the past health history, so where all the previous medical condition, any previous surgery done, and what is the date of the surgery, any complications that arose in the previous surgery. So in case of women, whether woman is pregnant or whether and menstrual history. If the person is pregnant, then we have to ask number of pregnancy and mode of deliveries, whether normal or cesarean delivery. So this all will be documented. And family history also, so because many conditions they follow the family pattern, and sometimes if the family is having some side effects to anesthesia, then the children also may have. So we have to also collect the family history, like whether any disease pattern is following the hereditary, and medication history. So you have to ask if the patient is on any current over the counter drugs and herbal products. Okay, over the counter is without prescription. We'll go and ask some paracetamol or some medicines for headache we take. So these are over the counter drugs. So all the name, dose and frequency of medication, and if the person is under some medication, whether they are complying to treatment, so all those histories will be collecting. And if the patient is taking any medicines, we have to see whether these medicines interact with the anesthetics. Okay, so if they interact and they cause some adverse effect, then we have to give the antidote prior to the surgery. And drugs like antihypertensives, so this can lead to shock. If patient is taking this with anesthesia, they can cause shock. And same way oral hypoglycemic agents, if the person is taking, we have to adjust the dose, because during surgery patient can go for a severe hypoglycemia and collapse. And if person is taking NSAIDs, they will interfere with clotting mechanism, so patient can go for post-operative bleeding. So everything you have to assess previously, so that during surgery we can give some antidote and treat the side effects of the medicine. Next we have to ask for the allergies, not only drug allergies, other non-drug allergies like food, chemicals and pollens you have to ask. And also if the family history of any allergic diseases like hay fever, asthma, contact dermatitis, urticaria. So these all you will be asking, because if any family member is also having allergies, so this can cross generation, and also even children can have the same allergies. Okay, and if patient is having allergies, then when patient is on anesthesia, they can cause hypersensitivity reaction. So we have to before itself ask for all those allergies. And next, coming to physical assessment. So here we have to review all the systems, like in cardiovascular system we will note for edema, distension of neck veils, all the pulses, heart sounds and blood pressure. And in respiratory system you have to assess for respiratory infection, if patient is having dyspnea and cough, and also using accessory muscles for breathing. And also inspect the effort of breathing, so whether patient is having any labored breathing or nasal flaring, so where the nose will flare. And symmetry of chest wall movement, so both the sides, right and left side, the chest wall, how they are moving, whether it is equal, you have to ask. And also purpose for lung sounds, like you have to hear resonance. And auscultate for the adventitious breath sounds, like abnormal crackles or any whistling, wheezing. So all those sounds you have to assess. And also respiratory rate, rhythm and pattern will be assessed. And in neurological system, so you have to ask the patient about where he is, etc. Okay, so like that you have to orient the patient to place, time and environment. And also check for the level of consciousness, thought process and ability to respond to stimuli. So this all will be asking. And in urinary system you have to monitor intake output chart, and whether patient is able to void in bathroom, or if there is need for catheterization. And also note the color, consistency and characteristics of urine. Okay, next in GI and hepatic system, so you'll be measuring the weight, and also ask for any dentures or loose tooth, because this can dislodge during intubation. So previously you have to see whether the dentures, everything is removed. And also color of sclera you have to identify, because patient may have jaundice, and if there is a jaundice, then anesthetic effect can further cause liver damage. So you have to assess for that, and also check for any hepatomegaly. And in integumentary system, so you have to assess the skin and mucous membrane for dryness, skin turgor, and whether they are intact. Okay, so and also bruises, breakdown, any rashes, boils, excoriations, these are present at surgical site. And also patient has temperature or not. Okay, because if patient is having increased temperature, then we cannot take him for surgery. So all this will be identifying. And in muscular system you have to assess the pressure points for redness and ulcers. So if patient has ulcers and redness, then we know that patient is on bed rest and they can cause infection. and also if there is any limitations in range of motion, and also muscle weakness, gait, balance, mobility, everything will be checking. And also in immune system, if patient is having any infectious diseases or autoimmune diseases, and assess if patient is taking any immunosuppressive drugs. So mainly transplant patient will be on immunosuppressive drugs. Okay, next is psychosocial assessment. So here you will check the anxiety. So this anxiety cause you have to identify, it may be lack of knowledge. So if there is lack of knowledge, then nurse has to give adequate knowledge about the surgical procedure, or sometimes it may be conflict with the religious and cultural beliefs. Okay, sometimes during surgery they say to remove the wedding ring or the chain, etc. So this all may have a conflict on the person. So you have to we have to talk with the patient, identify the anxiety, and help the person to cope with the beliefs and set realistic goals in order to prevent anxiety. And next, fear. So patient will have fear of death whenever there is surgery, or fear of permanent disability, fear of pain and discomfort, fear of alteration in body image, and also fear of anesthesia. So all those common fears will be there. So you have to give psychological support and alleviate the fear of the person. And next, hope. So anxiety and fear is a negative psychological feeling, whereas hope is a positive approach. So this will help the person to method of coping. So you have to ask the person to hope on God and believe on something which positive, so that he can recover. Next is laboratory findings. So these are the tests will be done prior to surgery, and also according to the focused assessment what we do and the type of surgical procedures. So there can be more laboratory assess findings also. Okay, so urine analysis, complete blood count, serum electrolytes, ABG analysis, and coagulation profile, blood glucose, blood urea nitrogen, serum albumin, chest x-ray, ECG, pulmonary function test, liver function test, blood grouping and typing, and human chorionic gonadotrophin will be assessed in case of pregnancy. Okay, so these are the findings you have to do before surgery. And next is preoperative preparation. So here you will be giving teaching, general information, legal preparation, day of surgery preparation, preoperative medication, and transporting to the operating room. Okay, so these are all the preoperative care. Okay, in preoperative teaching, so patient has the rights to ask questions, and also we have to clear the doubts of the patient. And teaching should start several days before the surgery, so that slowly we can teach one by one about the surgical procedure. So at a time, if we keep on saying so many things, patient cannot understand and it may cause some anxiety. And also when we teach the patient properly, it will reduce the fear and anxiety and also relieve stress. And teaching can help the patient to decrease complication, duration of hospital stay, and recovery time. Okay, so patient, if we teach, then patient will follow, so that all these can be reduced. And whenever we are teaching, not only teaching, we must also listen attentively to the patient's concerns and give also priority to the patient needs, and always focus the safety of the patient. And if patient is not able to understand, you can also give written material, so that patient can keep reading and knowing about the surgery and what all the procedure will be followed. Okay, and information provided in preoperative teaching. So mainly we give information regarding the sensory information, like holding area, that is the area where the person will be shifted just before in the operation room. So that area will be little noisy, and even monitor machine sounds he can hear. And because in the operation theater there will be so many drugs and chemicals will be used for cleaning, so this all will have smell. And operation room has very low temperature, so patient may feel cold, and warm blankets will be provided, that we have to say. And also surgical bed will be very small, so patient may be strapped and kept in the table. And also operation needs better light, so the lights will be very bright. Okay, so these are all sensory information you will be giving. And procedural information, like what clothings the patient will be wearing during surgery, that is hospital will provide that. And patient may need nil per oral and physical skin preparation, and ball preparation with enema, all those things we have to see, and vital signs will be assessed, and teach and practice all the post-operative exercises. Okay, so in the pre-operative period itself, we have to tell the patient to practice post-operative exercise so that he will follow in post-operative period. And post-operative period, patient will have severe pain, and that time you cannot teach any aggressive procedures. Okay, so in pre-operative period itself, we have to teach them so that they will follow in the post-operative period. And also, if needed, IV catheters has to be started and any fluid administration is there, medications, whatever is there, we have to administer. And anesthetist should visit the patient and give information regarding anesthesia, and also see whether the person is fit for anesthesia, and mark the surgical site with marker before sending the patient to the theater. Okay, and process information. So we have to encourage the family members to talk and clear their doubts, and also tell the orient the family member and person to all the operation theater, holding area, etc., and also recovery area. And family members should be informed that immediately after the surgery, surgeon will inform about the patient's condition, and patient will be shifted to the recovery room. The next, general information. So regarding exercises you have to provide, and post-operatively patient will have so many drains, monitor devices, special equipments will be there. So all this you have to explain in pre-operatively so that patient may not panic in the post-operative period. And in case some specific information should be provided, like if patient is going for knee replacement surgeries, then you have to say that patient legs may be kept immobilized with immobilizer, or any patient may come with epidural catheter, or patient can control analgesia for pain control following surgery. Okay, and basic information like in case of ambulatory surgery, okay, that means on the day when patient is coming for surgery and getting discharged on the day itself, then you have to tell the patient to come to the hospital 1 to 2 hours before the scheduled surgery. We'll do the basic assessment, and then patient will be undergoing surgery, and all the hygiene, food and fluid restrictions, that is nil oral orders, everything should be informed to the client. Okay, next is legal preparation for surgery. So we have to explain all the procedure to the patient, and allow the patient to sign the forms. Okay, so many hospitals will follow different forms. Okay, so there may be a consent form, any blood transfusion consent, some intubation consent forms. So whatever consent is needed, everything you have to explain, and when if the patient is accepting, then he can sign and give the consent. Okay, so informed consent should be active shared decision making process between the care provider and the recipient of the care, and only if both the patients are satisfied, then the person can sign. So there should be 3 conditions for to say that the consent is valid. So that is, we have to disclose, means we have to explain fully about the diagnosis, nature, process of surgical treatment, outcomes, benefit, prognosis. So everything related to the surgery we have to explain to the client in understandable terms, and then if he is willing, then he can give the signature. And we must make sure the patient is understanding clearly, and also we have to ask questions so that we may know the patient has clearly understood about the surgical procedure, then he has to sign. And we must not force the person to sign, it is should be voluntarily, the person has to decide whether to sign or not. Okay, and next is day of surgery preparation. So again, in the final day we have to give a preoperative teaching, we have to assess and communicate if there is any changes or any pertinent findings is there, like sudden change in BP, sudden increase in temperature. So everything you have to communicate with the surgeon and also family members. And all preoperative orders, whether it has completed, we have to make sure. And reports such as consent form, laboratory data, history, physical examination record, consultation report, vital sign chart, nurses chart, and some intake output chart. So whatever chart is there, we have to see whether everything is complete and filed neatly before sending to the operation theater. And skin also has to be shaved, and with the antiseptic solution we have to clean the surgical site. And also patient clothing has to be removed, and we have to put the hospital gown after thoroughly and cleaning the patient. And any cosmetics like nail polish is there, we have to remove, because if nail polish there, we cannot identify the capillary refill time, and also pulse oximetry monitoring cannot be done. And we have to put the ID band so that the surgeons may know whether they are doing surgery to the correct patient. And also allergy band if present, okay, if any allergy, so that band also should be worn by the patient. And if there is any valuables like any diamond, jewels, any rings, whatever is there, if patient is accepting, then we have to remove it and give it to the family members, and also get sign from the family members that they have received the valuables. And also like prostheses like dentures, contact lenses, eye glasses, all those things we have to secure it to the family members. And before going to the operation room, if the patient is not catheterized, then take the patient to bathroom and ask him to pass urine. And also make sure you have given a ball enema and emptied the ball, okay. And also preoperative checklist will be there, so this will ensure that all the preoperative measures have been completed, okay. So preoperative checklist will be attached. This is preoperative medication. So here the patient may get a single drug or a combination of drug according to the surgery. So there can be benzodiazepine and barbiturates, anticholinergics, H2 receptor antagonists, opioids, antiemetics, antibiotics, eye drops in case of eye surgeries, and routine medications like whatever patient is taking, okay. If the patient is on antihypertensives, then we have to give those routine medicines. And if patient is taking some oral hypoglycemic agents or insulin therapy, so whatever therapy the patient is on, we have to give the routine medications. But only if patient is on heparin or some anticoagulants, then we have to check with the anesthetist and surgeon order like when to stop those medications. And next, coming to transportation to the operation theater. So finally the patient should be shifted to the operation theater. So here we will be assisting the client to transport from operation room to the cart, okay. So that is in the surgical cart we have to transfer the patient. So all completed files we have to check with the checklist, and then we have to take the patient to operation room. And family member will be accompanying till the holding area, and method of transportation, and the accompanying person, and the nurse who transported. So all those will be documented in the chart. And family should be instructed to sit in the waiting room till the surgery is finished, and the surgeon must communicate the status of the patient to the family after surgery. And any additional equipments needed like IV pole, suctioning, oxygen, so whatever the patient is using in the ward, everything should be shifted in the transportation bed itself, so that patient will not lack oxygen, etc. So checklist will be attached here, so please view it. I hope you would have understood my class. Thanks for listening, and please like, share, subscribe, and click the notification button, and stay tuned.